Some people think the deep web is just a marketplace, a place for things that aren't allowed to exist in public, but that's not why many people go there. They go there to confess, not to police, not to courts, not to therapists. They confess to strangers who don't know their names on forums that barely exist anymore, buried behind layers of encryption and anonymity. And the reason is simple. When there are no consequences, honesty becomes easier than silence. Tonight, you're about to hear a series of confessions that users claimed were real. None of them were verified. None of them were traced. Most of them vanished shortly after being posted, but screenshots survived. And once these confessions started circulating, one question kept coming up over and over again. If no one could ever trace you, what would you admit? Before we go any further, if stories like this make you uncomfortable in a way you can't explain, leave a like so YouTube knows you're okay exploring darker corners of the internet. And if you believe some of these confessions might actually be real, say so in the comments. You're listening to LURQ. Subscribe, because the deeper we go, the harder it is to look away. The first confession appeared on an anonymous board that specialized in unfiltered posts. No usernames, no timestamps, no reply history, just text. The writer said they were driving late at night on a rural road. The kind of road where streetlights disappear and your headlights feel like they're cutting through nothing. They wrote that they were tired, distracted, thinking about getting home. Then something moved in front of the car. They didn't describe what it was. They didn't describe the sound. They didn't describe the moment of impact. They just wrote, "I felt it and I didn't stop." What made readers uneasy wasn't what happened in that moment. It was what happened afterward. The writer said they drove for several minutes before pulling over. They sat there gripping the steering wheel, waiting for panic to turn into action. It never did. They went home. They slept. The next day they checked the news. There was a short article, vague language, no suspects, no charges. Authorities ruled it an accident with unclear circumstances. The confession didn't try to defend the writer. Instead, it focused on the years that followed. They claimed they went back to that road more times than they could count, standing on the shoulder, looking at the pavement, measuring distance, not to relive it, to understand why they didn't stop. They ended the confession with one line that people still quote today. "I don't know if guilt is punishment or proof that I'm still human." Within hours, the post was gone. But by then, it had already spread. And that wasn't the worst part, because the next confession didn't sound guilty at all. This confession claimed to come from someone working overnight in a care facility. The writer never said where, never said their job title, never even specified whether it was a hospital or something else. They started by describing exhaustion, long shifts, too few staff, too many responsibilities. They wrote about how easy it is to miss things when you're tired, then how one delayed check turns into another. At first it sounded like venting. Then the tone changed. They stopped calling them accidents. They started calling them choices. The writer admitted there were moments when they could have acted faster and didn't. Moments when they noticed something was wrong and chose to wait. They justified it carefully. They weren't going to recover anyway. They were already suffering. I was only speeding up what was coming. What disturbed readers wasn't just the confession. It was how calm it sounded. No panic, no fear of being exposed. Just relief. The writer claimed they slept better after certain nights, that the guilt faded once they accepted it as necessary. The confession ended abruptly. "I don't feel evil, I feel relieved." The account was deleted soon after. Some people called it fake. Others pointed out something unsettling. Most people who lie about guilt try to sound emotional. This one didn't try at all. This confession was posted on a forum dedicated entirely to secrets. The writer talked about a family member who disappeared years ago. No date, no name, no age. Just that one day, the person was gone. They wrote that everyone believed the same story, that the person left town, that they wanted a fresh start, that they cut contact intentionally. The writer never directly said they were responsible. They didn't have to. They kept using phrases like, "I was the last one there. Things happened." No one asked the right questions. They claimed authorities focused heavily on the missing person's personal life, their habits, their choices. No one looked too closely at the people around them. The most unsettling part was the tone. There was no grief, no sadness, just closure. The confession ended with a line that divided readers instantly. "If silence counts as survival, then I survived." Some called it creative writing. Others said it felt too restrained to be fake. The post stayed up longer than most. Then it vanished without explanation. Not every confession involved physical harm. Some were psychological. This one claimed the writer lived two completely separate lives. In the real world, they were respected, reliable, predictable. Online, they were someone else entirely. The writer didn't describe specific actions. They described patterns, how easily they lied, how quickly they adapted, how natural it felt to switch personalities. They said the idea of being found out didn't scare them. What scared them was the idea of being limited to one version of themselves. They wrote, "I don't feel fake, I feel efficient." People in the comments asked if they ever felt bad, if guilt crept in. The writer responded once, "Why would I feel bad for being good at something?" After that, the account went silent. What disturbed readers wasn't what the writer admitted. It was how many people said they recognized themselves in it. This confession was short. Too short. No backstory, no build-up, no justification. The writer admitted to something serious without naming it directly. They didn't describe what they did, they described how they felt about it. "I don't regret it. I've never regretted it. I would do it again if circumstances were right." That was the entire post. No replies from the writer, no explanations. The forum moderators removed it within minutes. But by then, screenshots were everywhere. Psychologists later commented that genuine lack of remorse is far rarer than guilt, which made this confession harder to dismiss. By this point, people started asking the obvious question: how many of these were real? The answer is uncomfortable. Some were absolutely fake. Some were creative writing exercises. Some were posted for attention. But experts who study anonymous confession patterns pointed out something important. Real confessions often avoid details. Not to hide the truth, but because reliving it is harder than admitting it exists. The most convincing confessions weren't graphic. They were restrained, careful, incomplete. Which leads to the most unsettling thought of all. Not that every confession was real, but that some of them almost certainly were. One confession never got deleted. No moderation, no removal. Just one sentence. "If you're reading this, I already feel better." No explanation, no context, no follow-up. People debated why it stayed up. Some said no one reported it. Others said the site shut down before it could be removed. But that sentence disturbed people more than any detailed confession ever did, because it revealed something simple. Confession isn't about justice. It's about release.